Welcome to Access Rhode Island and its program, Kids Count. My name is Elizabeth Burke Bryant. I'm Executive Director of Rhode Island Kids Count. We are a children's advocacy and policy organization that works to improve the health, education, economic well-being, and safety of Rhode Island's children. Every Access Rhode Island program gives us the chance to talk about a different children's issue. And today's program is a core children's issue, the issue of education and making sure that all of our children have access to high-quality educational opportunities so that they can reach their dreams. And I am so excited to be able to welcome our guest for the program today, Dr. Susan Lusi, who is the Superintendent of the Providence Public School System. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm so pleased to be here.
Well, it is great to have you here, and I just want to congratulate you, Superintendent Lusi, on your fairly recent appointment as the Superintendent of Providence. I know you were acting for a while, but it always has to feel very exciting when that decision is made and you're officially appointed. Tell us how it felt.
It felt great. I'm very pleased and proud to be remaining in Providence. I think we have a lot of exciting work underway, a lot of momentum, and a lot of unity around common goals throughout the city, and I'm just very pleased to be privileged to continue the work.
Well, for people who don't know you, I know there would be lots of viewers who are curious about how did your journey in life take you to being such a prominent educational leader?
So I'm one of those people who went to college having no idea that I would end up in my chosen profession. I was an economics major, and I took a course in college at Brown University called the Philosophical Analysis of Educational Concepts, of all things. However, that course really talked about it was, before standards, before high stakes assessments, but it talked about the relationship between the teacher, the student, and the curriculum. And it talked about the difference between having different goals for different students versus using different means to reach the same ends or goals for all students. And as a part of that course, for my final project, I went back and looked at the course of study for my public high school that I had attended, and realized that it was right there in black and white, that it was different goals for different students. And that got me thinking a lot about issues of equity. Then in my community, I grew up in Springfield, Vermont. Springfield, Vermont was a machine tool town, and prior to my immediate generation, students could graduate from Springfield High School having gone through something called the co-op program, and they could earn a very good living with benefits, and a single wage earner could support a family. About the time I went to college, all of those shops left our community, and a number of my classmates were left without the future they thought they had chosen. And I vividly remember my mother, who had been chair of the school board for a number of years, saying, the problem is these kids weren't prepared for anything else. And that's, it's an enormous detriment to any child or emerging adult not to be prepared to lead a successful life. And so I'm very passionate about doing that for all kids.
Well, that is just such a great journey. I have had a lot to do with the University of Vermont, was my undergrad. Yeah. And I remember thinking about, knowing from my home state of Rhode Island how the economy was shifting, right, and the job picture was shifting. Right. And being reminded of this was happening in rural states, in urban states, right, all around the same time. Mm-hmm. And the stakes are just as devastating to kids that don't have what they need to succeed in the new economy.
Exactly. And perhaps even more devastating.
So tell us about your journey in educational positions here in Rhode Island, because I know we've worked together in a number of capacities.
So I've worked in a variety of places in our state. I've worked at Brown University. I was the Assistant Commissioner of Education for the Rhode Island Department of Education. While I was there, I went on loan, interestingly enough, to the Providence Public Schools about a decade ago, where I served as Chief of Staff under two different superintendents. I then left Providence for a number of years. I was most recently superintendent of schools in Portsmouth, Rhode Island, where I served for 6 years. I also did a variety of consulting pieces of work in between Providence and Portsmouth, and then came back to Providence, and I'm very glad to be here.
Well, we at Rhode Island Kids Count were among the first to welcome you and congratulate you, because we see what we do as a real partnership with Providence Public Schools. We track the data, we track the best practice research, and most importantly, I think we help to convene people around a table when any community partners might be helpful. So just starting kind of broadly, as you really embarked on your latest assignment in Providence, which is superintendent, what are you most excited about and what are you most concerned about? So what's your overall vision in terms of what are some of the most urgent things facing you in the district right now? And for viewers who don't know, it's around 23,000 students.
Yeah, between about just under 23,500. It's a system of about 80% free and reduced lunch. A system of about 8% of students are Caucasian. The others are students of color. Over 63% of whom are Latino. So we have a very diverse population, which is an enormous strength of our system. We are also a system, and my most pressing priority is to improve student achievement. So we are a low-performing system. Over half of our schools have now been identified by the state as low-performing in one, whether under No Child Left Behind or the more recent state accountability system under the ESEA waiver. We need to dramatically improve student achievement, and while we're doing it, also close achievement gaps. So that means we need to accelerate and grow the achievement of all learners, and also particularly accelerate those students who are furthest behind.
And as you take on that challenge, obviously you had the opportunity as acting superintendent to see some of the things that were in place. We track data, and we are particularly looking at grade level reading by the end of third grade. And we know there's a lot of interest in that around the country, because it really is one of those educational measures that really looks at who's going to be in a place where they can do well in their education after third grade, and it's expected they can learn how to read. But I was noticing not as fast as you probably want it, but an upward trend in terms of reading at third grade. So I know you're a data-driven person. You're probably looking at those trends and measures and really fine-tuning your overall plan to that kind of plan to accelerate and to close gaps faster.
Right. So I think you are correct. There's been an upward trend. I think a large part of that is thanks to the teaching and learning folks at the Providence schools, and of course the hard work of our teachers and administrators in the schools, as well as our students. But really an enormous amount of work has been done developing a core curriculum for our district. That core curriculum was initially designed around what were then the state standards, the grade level and grade span expectations. We're now, as you know, moving to the Common Core, as are the vast majority of states in our nation. And so we will continue to refine that curriculum work. I think with regard to accelerating that work, that has to do with things both in schools and also work in the broader community. So in schools, we need to work even more systematically at implementation. So it's one thing to have a curriculum, but it also matters very much how it is implemented and taught in each and every classroom. So one of my big priorities system-wide this year is to increase the consistency of teaching practice. So when I go into schools and classrooms, which I do frequently, I see a spectrum of teaching. And it's everything from absolutely superlative to really not quite where we need it to be. And so our collective challenge, which I've discussed with our district and also with union leadership and working together, is really to narrow that spectrum upward. So we want every classroom to really literally be from good to great with regard to teaching. In terms of factors outside the classroom, and you know this as well or better than I do, particularly with third grade reading. Having all kids at grade level by third grade in reading really starts way back at birth, if not conception, in terms of good prenatal care, good early childhood education and health, good family supports in terms of even if parents are not necessarily well educated themselves, there are things they can do at home to increase vocabulary, increase just overall school readiness. That's one piece. Another piece is making sure kids come to school each and every day unless they're really, really sick. And we do have a chronic absenteeism issue in our district. Chronic absenteeism is being absent 10% or more of the school year, which is 18 days. And last year, about a third of our kindergartners missed that much school. That is, that tells me we have more work to do as a school system and as a community on successfully transitioning our children and families into school. Lastly, well, not lastly, in addition, we need that excellent instruction in the school. And then we also need summer learning opportunities. And we have been working with community partners such as Inspiring Minds and others to provide those types of learning opportunities as children move into kindergarten, and we want to build those for every summer.
So both during the summer and after school.
Yes.
Well, that is really, it sounds like the entire description of the campaign for grade level reading,
Right.
which, as you know, is a national effort, but
And
what's
a
been
huge priority of our mayor, Angel Taveras, as you know.
Yes, and I'm sure you were as excited as anyone to hear
Yes.
that Providence was selected as one of 14
Absolutely.
communities from a field of
Absolutely.
124 applicants.
That's right.
For the National Civic League's All-America City Award.
Yes.
And I know that you and your team were a very big part of that, working with the Mayor's Children and Youth Cabinet, which you and Angela Romans co-chair. And tell me
Right.
a little bit about that. Do you see that as a real asset
Yeah.
to your work?
I see it as an enormous asset. So when I talked in the opening remarks about the unity or the shared goals across our city, I think the Mayor's Children and Youth Cabinet is an enormous part of that. So the cabinet is designed for cross-sector collaboration on behalf of children. And as I came into Providence, the Mayor's Educational Opportunities Working Group released the Educate Providence report. I came in July, and I believe they released it in September. And that identified 5 very concrete goals for all youth in Providence, really starting with that all students entering kindergarten ready to learn, and ending with all students transitioning into a college or some kind of certificate program. So that table enables multiple groups, including Kids Count, as you know, to work together as full partners. So, and the key areas of focus right now are that reading on grade level by grade 3, attendance, which we've also just talked about, the high school to college and career transition, and then evidence to success, which is a group. Providence was another honor Providence received in the last few months, was to be chosen as the lead city for the Annie E. Casey Foundation's new Evidence to Success initiative. That is really, again, about bringing multiple partners across sectors, so DCYF, Department of Children, Youth, and Families, the Providence schools, and also the Department of Health and the city are working to really serve the needs of our neediest students. So the Children and Youth Cabinet enables us to not only say verbally, but to really act on the fact that schools can't do it by themselves. So we as a school system want to be very accountable for our work, but it also provides a mechanism for coordinating the wonderful thinking and efforts across our city. And we need to get the best bang for our buck possible, so that's a crucial effort.
Well, it's a great group. I'm privileged to serve along with my colleague, Stephanie Geller.
Right.
And you and the mayor's excitement about it is very clear.
Right.
It's really a call to action every single time and in between meetings, and just the kind of domino effect of the things that are happening. And I'm hoping that those are heard within schools, because I would think if you're a teacher getting up every day, you want to be doing your best work, and the other things that have an impact on a child's success.
That's right. That's right.
So that must be a way of knowing that it's a community partnership toward these goals.
And I think, and it depends somewhat by school which partners schools are working with, but I think educators as a profession, and in our district in particular, we see more and more the need for those community partners. So we have, I've mentioned Inspiring Minds. The Providence After School Alliance is an extremely strong partner, Family Services, Children's Friend. But all of these initiatives, what makes them so successful is the willingness and ability of the partners and the schools to really work and plan together on behalf of students, as opposed to having uncoordinated efforts kind of randomly
that are well intended.
Exactly.
Not enough of a dosage or a way of working within school in a supportive way. And another one that I know has really just made a difference is the City Year group.
Yes, huge difference. Thank you.
No, you were just rattling them off so beautifully. And I know
and they're in our middle schools, and also in
and what are they doing
this year
in the middle schools?
So they're in our middle schools, and this year for the first time in one of our elementary schools. And they provide really, they are near-peer mentors and coaches, if you will, for our students. So they come, they put in a long day, and they come early in the morning, and they have athletics and other activities to get kids interested and get them to school on time, because these
are the young people in their red jackets that some people might see in front of City Hall some mornings.
And they then they work with teachers, providing some individual tutoring and support to students. They reach out to students during lunch and other downtimes, if you will, really trying to target students who may be having attendance problems and or other issues, and drawing them back into the school, because we know one thing that keeps students in school is really having a meaningful connection with at least one adult. And the City Year folks are adults, but they're also a little bit younger than some of us, shall we say. And so they really do provide that near-peer support, and then also support and activities after school as well.
Wow. So, it's great. You've said it so well. The real focus within the classroom, all of the work you're doing with different principals and teachers, as well as these partnerships to make them meaningful and a real value added.
Exactly.
So are there initiatives, I know you've been in the news recently on some bold new initiatives. I want to be able to give you the chance to describe those.
Okay.
And I saw a recent press conference with some of the legislative leaders and the Providence Teachers Union around something called Unified Providence.
Yep, United Providence.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
United and
well, we're unified too.
United Providence, if you could give us a quick snapshot of that initiative.
Sure. So United Providence is a labor management partnership. It is an independent 501c3. It is co-chaired by the Superintendent of Schools in Providence, which is me, and by the President of the Providence Teachers Union, Steve Smith. And the mission of United Providence is to turn around some of the district's lowest performing schools. So United Providence right now is working with Jorge Alvarez High School, Gilbert Stewart Middle School, and the Carl G. Loro Elementary School. And those are 3 schools that were identified as low performing by the state. And under No Child Left Behind, there was an option called Restart, and I'm told ours is the only state that allowed for the creation of this kind of labor management partnership as what people term an educational management organization. So we have staffed, or we're in the process of staffing United Providence. We've hired a new executive director, Dr. Sherry Miller Williams from Houston. Dr. Williams comes with enormous strengths and background in coaching principals and turning around schools, and we're very excited about her leadership and are staffing the organization under her direction. And so that is a very strong labor management initiative that we also want to use to influence the larger district. So for example, we have also been having meetings with principals and building delegates, which are the union building representatives. And so principals and delegates are hearing things, the same information at the same time, and we're asking them to work jointly in communicating that to teachers and also to establish a shared leadership structure within their schools.
Great, and I'm sure that's a key recipe for success of anything like this.
I think we have to have strong communities and cultures in our schools for teachers and other staff, for students, and also for parents and community, because we need at base, so when I think about the kind of schools I want for every student in Providence or for my own child, I want schools where students want to come to school, where they're deeply engaged in the work and they're excited about learning. And I don't think you get that kind of learning unless you have teachers, administrators, and other staff who are also deeply engaged and excited about their work. So we need to build the kind of cultures that build teacher and staff ownership and support, and also shared accountability for what we do and really looking at the results and improving them over time.
Well, it sounds like the way you must get up in the morning thinking about that vision for students.
Yeah.
And this is a key part of the plan now.
That's right.
And another one, we're running out of time already.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's amazing how fast it goes, but it's been very, very interesting. Is the charter district idea of real partnerships between district schools and charter schools?
Right. So again, the president of the Teachers Union, Steve Smith, and I, in addition, Keith Oliveira, our school board president, we are all supportive of this idea of allowing schools to convert to in-district charters. So what we did at the very beginning of the school year, actually immediately prior, Steve Smith and I met with building delegates and principals all together and said, if schools would like to do this, we would support them. We wanted them to do a few things. One, we asked that they partner with either an existing charter or another 501c3 or maybe even a for-profit, but some kind of partner that added to their capacity to serve students. We also asked, or we were interested in charters because charters tend to be characterized by those strong communities and cultures we were just talking about. And the third reason for being interested is resources, because the state has a very substantial amount of charter startup money. So what we did was we said, this is not something we would force on anyone, but if people are interested, if a school is interested, we will support a small number. We had 2 apply on a very aggressive timeline. They put in prospectuses October 1st, and we learned last week they were approved to go to the full application stage for December 1, and I anticipate that we'll have some additional schools in December with prospectuses.
That is very exciting.
Yeah,
so you can
agree.
learn from those 2 first ones and then see how it goes for other
And really, our
Possible.
district needs to become a hub that facilitates learning across all our different schools. So whether they're an in-district charter, part of United Providence, working with our other lead partner, Cambium NAEP, or just doing their work in the district, we need to really have structures and processes so that people are learning from one another and not trying to go it alone.
Well, that sounds ambitious and exciting and something that you'll all learn from. And as we're starting to wind down, if we can go back to the younger kids for a moment, it's a pleasure serving with you on the Early Learning Council with Commissioner Gist and myself as co-chairs, and you have been such a key person there. How important is the early learning piece as you stand beside a kindergarten teacher on the first day of school? You probably can tell right away what young children have had access to high quality programs and what ones not.
Early learning is enormously important because without quality early learning, students start out behind. And so while they may progress at the same rate as their peers, and there is evidence that shows they often do, that gap is difficult to close. And some of those very same students tend to have the largest learning losses over the summer. So that early learning piece, giving students that ramp up to successful education, is absolutely crucial. And I think research has shown over and over again, whether it's reading by grade 3 or just being on track educationally in general, early learning is absolutely crucial.
Well,
so I'm
we're
very
excited.
grateful for your efforts and those of Commissioner Gist and the many others who've joined the work.
Well, I think the plan is to ensure that all children in all programs, this is with the Race to the Top Early Learning Challenge, that the quality across the board improves so that we reach children wherever they are, and at the same time we keep up our efforts to ensure that all childcare is high quality, whether it's in center-based or family childcare homes, that there are those interactions with parents, and what kinds of early literacy and early vocabulary in the home will really make parents feel like they are their children's first teacher and best advocate. And then finally, really making sure we have the roadmap of which 3- and 4-year-olds in Providence are in high quality programs, especially in that year before kindergarten, that we all wanted for all of our kids.
That's right. And trying to reach out so that more and more of them are
so
in
they're
those
in
programs.
A consistent 1 year, at least in that lead up. Well, we just have a few more minutes. I think it's been great, and I'm just curious what your average day is like. I think a lot of people hear a superintendent and they think, gosh, what is it like from the time her head comes up from the pillow and you slip on your slippers or whatever?
Okay. So I'm not sure I have an average day. It depends a lot. It varies a lot by day. I try to exercise early in the morning. So today I was at the gym at 6 a.m. and my first meeting was at 8:30. I'm here this evening. So my day is generally characterized by numerous meetings and interactions, whether it's with staff or outside partners or potential funders or school board members, the mayor, others. So I think my job is to keep spreading the good word about the work of the district and also to continue pushing that work forward and try to facilitate keeping everybody on the same page and provide some vision and some guidance all at the same time.
Well, it sounds like a magical task, and I just want to say how excited we are to be working with you.
Likewise.
We wish you the best of luck in this position as Superintendent of Providence.
Thanks.
We want to thank you, Dr. Susan Lusi, for being with us on the Kids Count program.
Elizabeth.
And many thanks to all of you who have joined us for Access Rhode Island. We look forward to seeing you for our next program on children's issues in the state of Rhode Island. Thank you for joining us.